The power died at 2:47 a.m. Emergency lights bathed the ICU in red. Outside, armed men moved through the parking lot like shadows. Nurse Sarah Chen walked calmly to her locker while everyone else froze. Her hand didn't reach for her phone. She reached for something else. Something she swore she'd never touch again. The attending physician watched her pull out a black tactical case he'd never seen before. Nurse Chen, what is that? She didn't answer, because the hospital doors had just been breached. Dr. Marcus Webb had worked at County General for 15 years. He'd seen nurses come and go. The young ones who burned out, the experienced ones who knew every trick. But Sarah Chen? She was different, quiet, almost invisible. She took the worst shifts without complaint. Never made mistakes. Never drew attention. That's why seeing her open that case felt wrong. The tactical med kit was military grade. Tourniquets, combat gauze, chest seals. Equipment that didn't belong in a civilian hospital. Chen, where did you? Glass shattered in the lobby below. Screams echoed up the stairwell. Heavy boots. Multiple sets. Moving fast, Dr. Webb's hand shook as he reached for the phone. Dead. The whole system was down. 12 patients in the ICU, 6 couldn't be moved. 3 were on ventilators running on backup battery good for maybe 90 minutes. Sarah's fingers moved across the kit with practiced precision. She clipped a tourniquet to her scrubs. Tucked hemostatic gauze into her pocket. Her face showed nothing. We need to lock down, she said quietly. Get everyone away from the windows. I'm the attending. I give this. The stairwell door burst open. A man in black tactical gear swept in, rifle raised. His face was covered. His eyes locked onto Dr. Webb. Sarah moved. 1 step. That's all it took. Her hand struck the rifle barrel, redirecting it. Her elbow found his throat. The man dropped before Webb could process what happened. She caught the rifle before it, clattered, cleared it with movements that looked like muscle memory, set it aside. Dr. Webb, her voice was still calm. Still quiet? I need you to trust me. Can you do that? He stared at her, at the unconscious man, at her hands steady, controlled, lethal. Who are you? Sarah pulled the emergency intercom. It ran on a separate power system. Her voice carried through the entire floor. This is Nurse Chen, Code Silver. Armed intruders. All staff initiate lockdown protocols. Move patients away from doors and windows. Stay calm. She released the button. Turned to the team of nurses frozen in the hallway. Lisa, take Mr. Rodriguez and the ambulatory patients to the supply room. It's reinforced. Barricade the door. Lisa didn't move. Just stared now, Lisa. Something in Sarah's voice, not louder, but harder, cut through the panic. Lisa moved. Sarah looked at Dr. Webb. How many access points to this floor? What? 2 stairwells. The elevator. The elevator's dead. Which stairwell has the fire door? East side. But you can't seriously. She was already moving. Grabbed a crash cart. Rolled it to the east stairwell entrance. Wedged it against the door. More footsteps below. Voices barking orders. Not random. Organized. Military precision. Sarah returned to the nurse's station. Opened the security monitor that nobody knew still worked. Black and white feeds from 6 cameras, 8 armed men in the lobby, to guarding the exits, 3 moving up the west stairwell, heading straight for them. If you want to see what happens when Sarah's past catches up with her present, subscribe and hit the bell. Because what comes next changes everything. Dr. Webb watched her study the screens, her eyes calculating, planning. Please tell me you're calling the police? She didn't look up. They can't get here in time. And what are we supposed to? We hold. She said it like it was simple. Like 12 civilians. Against 8 armed men was a math problem. She'd solved before. The west stairwell door handle. Rattled. Sarah pulled the fire extinguisher off the wall, stood beside the door. Waited. Dr. Webb's heart hammered in his chest. This couldn't be happening. This wasn't real. But the door was opening. Asterisk, the door swung open. Sarah didn't hesitate. The fire extinguisher caught the first man in the face. He went down hard. She pulled him through the doorway, stripped his radio, kicked the door shut before the second man could react. The radio crackled. Team 2, status. Sarah pressed the transmit button, deepened her voice slightly. Clear, moving to secure the floor. Copy. She clipped the radio to her waistband. Looked at Dr. Webb. His face had gone pale. You. He'll wake up with a headache. Nothing permanent. She dragged the unconscious man behind the nurse's station. Zip-tied his hands with 4 tubing. How many patients can't be moved? Webb struggled to focus. 6-3 on vents. To post-op. 1 in restraints? The one in restraints violent? Psychiatric hold. But he's sedated. Sarah nodded. Pulled the tactical kit closer. Started organizing supplies. The radio crackled again. Team leader to all units. We have confirmation. Target is on the 3rd floor. I see you, female. Late 20s, Asian nurse uniform. Sarah's hands didn't stop moving, but Dr. Webb noticed. The way her jaw tightened. Just for a second. They're here for you, he whispered. Yes. Long story. She handed him a roll of medical tape. Help me reinforce the door frames. Use the beds. Anything heavy? This is insane. We should surrender. Talk to them. Maybe they won't. Her voice cut through his panic. These aren't negotiators, doctor. They're a kill team. How do you know that? She finally looked at him. Really looked at him. Her eyes were different now. Not the soft, tired eyes of a nurse pulling a double shift. These eyes had seen things. Done things. Because I used to lead one. The words hung in the air. Webb's brain couldn't process it. Sarah Chen, the woman who brought coffee to the night shift, who remembered everyone's birthday, who never ever raised her voice. You're lying. I wish I was. She moved to the window. Scanned the parking lot below. They have the building surrounded. Police response will take at least 20 minutes. Maybe longer if someone's jamming communications. Then we're dead. No, she turned back. We have defensive position. Limited access points. And they need me alive. Why? The radio crackled. Team 2, respond. Silence. Team 2, respond. Now. Sarah pulled the radio. Let the silence stretch. Then, Team 2 is compromised. The voice on the other end changed. Colder? Is this Chen? She didn't answer. Sarah Chen, former Major 75th Ranger Regiment. You can't run from this. Dr. Webb felt the floor shift beneath. Him, Major, Rangers? This couldn't be real. Sarah's thumb hovered over the transmit button. You have 8 minutes before we breach that floor, the voice continued. Come quietly. Everyone lives. Resist. A pause. Well, you know how this ends? Sarah pressed the button. You're going to need more than 8 men. She released it, turned off the radio, looked at Dr. Webb with something that might have been an apology. Get everyone into the supply room. Now. Are you going to do what I was trained to do? She checked the unconscious man's rifle, frowned, put it aside. Protect the people who can't protect themselves, Webb wanted to argue. Wanted to call her crazy, but the way she moved, the way she processed information, the absolute calm in her voice. This was someone who'd done this before. Someone who knew exactly how to turn a hospital floor into a fortress. The patients will be safer if you follow my instructions. She pulled a map of the floor from the wall, started marking positions with a pen. Fire doors here and here. The medication room has a steel door. Put the vents there. Use oxygen tanks as barricades. Can't move ventilators, you can. Disconnect the wall oxygen. Use the portable tanks. You have 15 minutes of battery. More than enough time. She was right. Technically, it could work. What about you? Sarah smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. I'll buy you those 15 minutes. Footsteps in the stairwell. Multiple sets. Moving fast, Sarah pulled 2 scalpels from the supply cart. Tested their weight. Go, doctor, Webb ran behind him. He heard Sarah chunk quiet. Invisible Sarah, take a deep breath and prepare for war. Asterisk. The first team came through the west stairwell at exactly 8 minutes. Sarah was ready. She'd spent 7 of those minutes preparing. Positioning equipment. Creating choke points. Turning a hospital floor into a battlefield. The last minute she'd spent remembering who she used to be. The stairwell door opened slowly. Tactically, a gloved hand appeared first. Then a rifle barrel. Sarah waited behind the nurse's station. Breathing slow. Heart rate controlled. 3 men entered. Tactical gear. Night vision pushed up. They'd expected darkness instead. The emergency lights gave them just enough to see, just enough to make mistakes. The lead man signaled. 2 fingers. Split formation. Sarah moved. She'd placed a crash cart in the hallway. Wheels unlocked. The first man's boot caught it. He stumbled. Sarah was on him before he recovered. Palm strike to the solar plexus. He folded. She stripped his sidearm. Rolled behind the cart as the second man fired. Suppressed shots punched through medical equipment. Monitors exploded. Glass rained down. Sarah counted rounds 5, 6, 7. Magazine change, she rose. 2 shots. Center mass. The man dropped. Rubber bullets. She'd switched the ammunition. The third man was smart. Stayed in cover. Keyed his radio. Target engaged. West corridor. She's armed. Repeat, Sarah threw the scalpel. It buried itself in his radio. Sparks flew. He looked down at the destroyed equipment, looked up at Sarah. She was already moving. Low, fast. Years of training compressed into seconds, and Sarah chunk quiet. Invisible, Sarah Chun looked ready for war. The first team came through the west stairwell at exactly 8 minutes. Sarah was ready. She'd spent 7 of those minutes preparing. Positioning equipment. Creating choke points. Turning a hospital floor into a battlefield. The last minute, she'd spent remembering who she used to be. The stairwell door opened slowly. Tactically, a gloved hand appeared first. Then a rifle barrel. Sarah waited behind the nurse's station, breathing slow. Heart rate controlled. 3 men entered. Tactical gear. Night vision pushed up. They'd expected darkness instead. The emergency lights gave them just enough to see, just enough to make mistakes. The lead man signaled. 2 fingers. Split formation. Sarah moved. She'd placed a crash cart in the hallway. Wheels unlocked. The first man's boot caught it. He stumbled. Sarah was on him before he recovered. Palm strike to the solar plexus. He folded. She stripped his sidearm. Rolled behind the cart as the second man fired. Suppressed shots punched through medical equipment. Monitors exploded. Glass rained down. Sarah counted rounds. 5, 6, 7. Magazine change, she rose. 2 shots. Center mass. The man dropped. Rubber bullets. She'd switched the ammunition. The third man was smart. Stayed in cover. Keyed his radio. Target engaged. West corridor. She's armed. Repeat, Sarah threw the scalpel. It buried itself in his radio. Sparks flew. He looked down at the destroyed equipment, looked up at Sarah. She was all ready. Moving low, fast. Years of training compressed into seconds. He tried to bring his rifle around to slow. She was inside his guard. Elbow to the jaw. Knee to the ribs. He went down, gasping. 3 men. 45 seconds. Sarah checked the hallway. Clear dot behind her. The medication room door opened slightly. Dr. Webb's face appeared. Holy, stay inside. Sarah's voice was clipped. Stable for now. Chen, you just... How long on the ventilator batteries? He blinked, processed. 12 minutes. Good, stay quiet. Don't open this door unless I tell you to. Or she closed it. Heard the lock click. The radio on the unconscious man crackled. Team 1, status. Sarah picked it up, listened to the silence. A different voice came through. Older, authority in every word. Sarah, this is Colonel Morrison. Her hand tightened on the radio. She knew that voice. Knew it from briefings, classified missions. Orders that couldn't be questioned. I know you're listening, Morrison continued. I know you're protecting those people. That's what you do. It's who you are. Sarah said nothing. Do you know how this ends? We have the building. We have the exits. Eventually, those batteries run out. Those patients die. Unless you come with us. She looked at the medication room door. Thought about the 12 people behind it. The ventilators humming. The backup batteries slowly draining. You were the best operator I ever commanded, Morrison said. Don't throw that away, protecting people who don't even know your real name. Sarah pressed the transmit button. You're right, Colonel. I was the best. Pause. Which means you should know better than to send only 3 teams. She released the button. Smiled without humor. The response came back fast. Angry. Breach all entry points. Now. Sarah pulled the fire alarm. Sprinklers erupted across the floor. Water cascaded down. The emergency lights reflected off the flooding corridor. She'd disabled the sprinklers in the medication room earlier. The patients would stay dry, but the hallways? Now they were a nightmare, wet floors. Reduced visibility. Electrical hazards everywhere. She moved through the chaos like a ghost. The east stairwell door burst open. 2 men charged through, their boots hit wet tile. Sarah had positioned a portable X-ray machine in their path. They saw it too late. Both men went down hard, sliding, weapons clattering. She was on them before they recovered. Pressure points. Nerve strikes. Techniques that left them conscious, but immobilized. Nothing personal, she said quietly. The main elevator doors opened. For men. Full tactical gear. They'd bypassed the power lockout. Smart, but not smart enough. Sarah had wedged a medical cart against the elevator shaft. They couldn't exit easily. Bottlenecked. She pulled the fire extinguisher. Sprayed directly into the elevator. White foam filled the space. The men shouted, stumbled, blinded. One made it out. Wiped his eyes. Raised his weapon. Sarah swept his legs. He crashed into the flooded floor. Stay down, she advised, but he was already unconscious. Sarah checked her watch. 4 minutes left on the ventilators. 8 men down. Maybe for still mobile. The radio crackled. Morrison's voice, tight with anger. You can't hold forever, Sarah. She looked at the devastation around her. The unconscious operators. The flooded hallways keyed the transmit button. I don't need forever. Colonel. Pause. Just long enough. She heard it then. Faint. Growing louder. Sirens. Police. Fire. Probably SWAT. Morrison heard it too. His voice changed. Less confident. This isn't over, yes, Sarah said quietly. It is. She turned off the radio, stood in the flooded hallway. Water dripping from her SCRUBS. Waited. The medication room door opened. Dr. Webb stepped out. Stared at the scene. Elchen. What the hell are you? Sarah looked at him. At the patients being wheeled out by the other nurses. At the sirens getting closer. Right now. She pulled off her soaked scrubs jacket. Underneath her name tag was still perfectly in place. Just a nurse doing her job? They both knew that wasn't true. Not anymore. Asterisk, the SWAT team arrived 11 minutes later. They came in fast. Tactical formation. Expecting active shooters. What they found was Sarah Chen, sitting calmly at the nurse's station. Hands visible. Eyes steady. And 8 unconscious men in tactical gear. Zip-tied with 4 tubing. Disarmed. Lined up like medical supplies. The SWAT commander stopped. Stared. Are you injured? No. Sir, these men attempted to breach the ICU. I defended my patients. She said it like she was reporting a medication error. Simple. Factual. The commander looked at the flooded hallways, the destroyed equipment. The tactical operators, who were supposed to be elite, looked back at the small Asian woman in soaked scrubs. You did this alone? The patients needed protection. He didn't know what to say to that. Behind him, police flooded the floor. Paramedics, hospital security, who'd been locked in the basement. Dr. Webb appeared, still shaking. Officer, this woman saved everyone. She will need statements from everyone. The commander's radio crackled. He stepped away. Sarah stood. Her body ached. Old injuries reminding her why she'd left this life. But the patients were safe. That's what mattered. A detective approached. Young, eager, notebook ready. Miss Chen, I'll need you to walk me through exactly what happened. She nodded. Started to explain. The detective's eyes grew wider with each sentence. And you learn these techniques. Where? Sarah hesitated. I had prior training. What kind of training? Before she could answer, the SWAT commander returned. His face had changed. Professional mask firmly in place. I need you to come with me. Am I under arrest? No. But there are people who need to speak with you. Immediately. Dr. Webb stepped forward. She's not going anywhere until Dr. Exert's voice was firm. This is above my pay grade. Way above. He led Sarah to the elevator. It was working now. Power restored. They descended in silence. The lobby was chaos. Police, federal agents. News vans already gathering outside. But the commander led her past all of it. To a side entrance, where 3 black SUVs waited, men in suits, earpieces, scanning the perimeter. One of them opened the rear door. Sarah saw who was inside. Her blood went cold. Secretary of Defense, James Whitmore. In person, at a county hospital. At 4 a.m., Major Chen, his voice was gravelly, tired. Get in. She climbed in. The door closed. The SUV pulled away. Whitmore studied her. You made quite a mess. Sir, I was defending. I know what you were defending. He pulled a tablet. Showed her classified files. Mission reports. Her mission reports. Colonel Morrison went rogue 6 months ago. Stole classified intel. We've been tracking him. Sarah's mind raced. Morrison, her former commander. The man who'd taught her everything. He came for you tonight because you were his best operator. Thought you'd join him. Whitmore's eyes were hard. Instead, you took down his entire team with medical supplies. The patients are fine. Because of you, he leaned back. But now we have a problem, sir. Your cover is blown. Every news outlet in the country will be running this story by morning. Nurse defeats armed terrorists. They'll dig. Find your records. Your real service history. Psst. Sarah felt something twist in her chest. The quiet life she'd built. The anonymity gone. What happens now? Whitmore smiled. It wasn't comforting. Now, Major Chen, you have a choice. The SUV pulled into an underground facility. Concrete. Fluorescent lights. Armed guards. They led her to a conference room. Maps on the walls. Monitors showing tactical feeds. A man in Air Force uniform stood at the head of the table. Stars on his shoulders. General Marcus Hayes. Joint Special Operations Command. He saluted Sarah. Still in her soaked scrubs, automatically returned it. Major Chen, it's an honor. I'm not, you're on leave. In active duty. I'm aware. Hayes gestured to a chair. But tonight changed that. Morrison is still out there. He has intel that could compromise ongoing operations. And he knows you won't join him, which means he'll try again. Yes, harder next time. More collateral damage. Hayes pulled up photos. Strike teams, weapons. Unless we end this. Sarah looked at the screens. At the faces of operators she used to know. Used to lead. You want me to hunt him? I want you to do what you do best. Hayes leaned forward. Protect people. By stopping the threat at its source, Sarah thought about the ICU, Dr. Webb's terrified face, the patients on Venter. Thought about what Morrison would do if he wasn't stopped. And if I refuse, then you go back to County General, back to night shifts and bedpans, and hope Morrison doesn't burn down another hospital to get to you. The room fell silent. Secretary Whitmore spoke quietly. We need you, Major, not for us. It's for them. The people who can't protect themselves. Sarah closed her eyes, saw her locker. Her tactical kit, the thing she'd sworn she'd never touch again. But she had touched it tonight. Because when people needed protecting, she couldn't walk away. She never could. What's the mission timeline? Hayes smiled. Briefing in 6 hours. Deployment in 12. I need to go back to the hospital first. Not advisable. Media is, I need to check on my patients. Make sure they're stable. She looked at Whitmore. At Hayes, non-negotiable. They exchanged glances. Hayes nodded. 1 hour. Unmarked escort. You don't talk to press? Understood? As they prepared to leave, Sarah looked at her reflection in the dark window. Soaked scrubs. Bruised knuckles. Hair matted. She didn't look like a major. Didn't look like an elite operator. She looked like a nurse who'd had a very long night. But somewhere behind her eyes, something had shifted. The quiet life was over. Sarah Chen was going back to war. Asterisk. The hospital was still a crime scene when Sarah returned. Yellow tape. Evidence markers. FBI agents photographing bullet holes. But the ICU was running. Patients stable. Staff working through the shock. Sarah stepped off the elevator in fresh scrubs. Her escort stayed in the lobby. Dr. Webb saw her immediately. Rushed over. Chin, thank God. I thought that he stopped. Looked at her face. You're leaving. It wasn't a question. I have to finish this.
Ow.
You already stopped them. 8 men. Alone. That should be enough. Sarah walked to the medication room. The patients were being transferred to other floors. Safer locations, Mrs. Rodriguez. Post-op. Awake now. She smiled weakly when she saw Sarah. You saved us. Sarah checked her adjusted her pillow. Just doing my job. No. Mrs. Rodriguez grabbed her hand. Surprisingly strong. I was awake. I heard everything. You're not just a nurse. Sarah met her eyes. Saw understanding there. Gratitude. Tonight, I was exactly what you needed me to be. She moved to the next patient. Mr. Chen. No relation. Ventilator breathing for him now. But alive. Because Sarah had bought them time. Dr. Webb followed her. The hospital administrator wants to talk to you. About what happened. About your background. What did you tell them? Nothing. Because I don't know anything. He crossed his arms. Sarah Chen. That's the name on your badge. Your license. Your background check. But it's not your real name, is it? Sarah was quiet for a moment. It's real enough. The men who came, they called you Major, said you were Rangers, used to be. And now I'm a nurse. She looked at him. That part was never a lie, Doctor. I went to nursing school, passed my boards, worked every shift I was assigned. Why? Why leave the military for this? Sarah thought about how to answer. About classified missions she couldn't discuss. About things she'd seen, done. Because I was tired of only helping people by hurting other people. But tonight I protected my patients. That's different. The elevator dinged. Sarah's hand moved instinctively to her waist, where her sidearm used to be. But it was just Lisa, the other night nurse. Her eyes were red from crying. Sarah, I'm so sorry. When it happened, you got the patients to safety. That's what I needed you to do. But you fought them. Alone. I should have. You're a nurse, Lisa, not a soldier. You did exactly right. Sarah squeezed her shoulder. Everyone's alive because you followed instructions. Lisa nodded. Wiped her eyes. Are you really leaving? Sarah looked around the ICU, at the monitors beeping steadily, at the nurses moving between patients, at the work that would continue long after she was gone. Someone has to make sure this doesn't happen again. She walked to her locker, the one she'd opened 6 hours ago. The tactical kit was gone, confiscated by federal agents, but her personal items remained. Photos, a few books, a medal in a locked box she never opened. Dr. Webb appeared beside her, handed her an envelope. What's this? Letter of recommendation. In case you ever want to come back. To nursing, Sarah took it, felt the weight of it. You might be the best nurse I've ever worked with, Webb said quietly. And I've worked with a lot of nurses. You care about patients. Really care? That's rare.
Doctor, but you're also something else?
Something I don't fully understand. And right now, people need that more than they need another night shift nurse. Sarah tucked the envelope into her bag. Thank you. Come back when it's done. When it's safe, there'll always be a place for you here. Didn't trust herself to speak? The elevator dinged again. This time Sarah recognized the energy shift immediately. Military bearing. Command presence. General Hayes stepped onto the floor. Full dress uniform. Stars gleaming under fluorescent lights. The entire staff froze. Hayes walked directly to Sarah, stopped 3 feet, away saluted. Sarah, still in scrubs, returned it, Major Chen. It's time. Dr. Webb's jaw dropped. Major? Hayes looked at him. Major Sarah Chen. 75th Ranger Regiment. Medal of Honor recipient. Currently on inactive status. Webb's face went through several expressions. Shock, disbelief, understanding, Medal of Honor. Sarah kept her eyes forward. It was a long time ago, sir. 7 years. Operation Silent Badge. Classified. Hayes turned to the gathered staff. His voice carried authority. What happened here tonight? Major Chen neutralized 8 hostile operators while protecting 12 civilians. 0 casualties. That's not luck. That's training, excellence, and courage. Lisa whispered. Oh my God. Hayes continued. The Major has been recalled to active duty. Effective immediately. She's needed for a critical national security operation. Sarah saw the faces of her co-workers. The people she'd worked alongside for 2 years. They were looking at her differently now. Not as Sarah, the quiet night nurse, as someone else entirely. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you, she said quietly. The secrecy was necessary, Hayes finished. For your protection, and theirs. Dr. Webb stepped forward. Extended his hand, Sarah shook it. Kick their asses, Major. A real smile this time. That's the plan, Doctor. Haas gestured to the elevator. We have a briefing in 30 minutes. Transport is waiting. Sarah took one last look at the ICU, at the patients sleeping peacefully, at the nurses who would care for them through the night. This was why she'd become a nurse. To help people. Save lives. But sometimes saving lives meant going to war. She followed Hayes to the elevator as the doors closed. She saw Dr. Webb raise his hand in salute. She returned it. One last time. Then the elevator descended, and Sarah Chuners, operator, protector, prepared for the mission that would either end Morrison's threat forever or end her. But either way, the patients would be safe. That's all that mattered. That's all it had ever mattered. 72 hours later, Sarah stood in a different hospital. Walter Reed Medical Center. The military wing, her left arm was in a sling. Cracked ribs taped. A cut above her eyebrow held together with butterfly stitches. But she was alive, Morrison wasn't. The mission had been surgical. Fast. 3 operators. In and out in 90 seconds. Morrison's safe house. His remaining team. The stolen intel, all neutralized. Sarah had led the breach. First through the door. Just like old times. Except this time, when Morrison raised his weapon, she didn't hesitate. The man who'd trained her, commanded her, taught her everything. He'd made his choice. She'd made hers. Now, it was over. General Hayes entered her hospital room. Behind him, Secretary Whitmore and someone else. Sarah tried to stand. Hayes waved her down. At ease, Major. You've earned the rest. The third person stepped forward. 4 stars on her uniform. Admiral Rachel Torres, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Sarah's eyes widened. Ma'am. Major Chen, your service record is remarkable. 3 tours. 17 classified operations. 0 mission failures. Torres smiled. And apparently, you can hold a hospital floor against a tactical team while maintaining patient care standards. The patients were the priority, ma'am. They always are with you. I've read the reports. Every one. Torres pulled a folder. Your company commander in Afghanistan, Captain Rodriguez. You carried him 3 miles through hostile territory after an IED strike. He would have done the same for me. Your team in Syria. You stayed behind. Held a bridge for 6 hours while they evacuated civilians. Sarah said nothing. Remembered the weight of the rifle. The faces of the children running past. And 7 years ago? Operation Silent Badge. Torres's voice grew quiet. You infiltrated a terrorist compound alone. Freed 18 hostages. Eliminated 12 hostiles. Took 3 bullets in the process. I was doing my job. You received the Medal of Honor. The youngest woman to ever receive it. Torres looked at her directly. And then you disappeared. Resigned your commission. Became a nurse. I needed to heal people, ma'am. Not just hurt them. And you did. For 2 years at County General, excellent performance reviews. Loved by patients and staff. Torres paused. Until 64 hours ago, when you put 8 trained operators on the ground without firing a shot, Ace spoke up. The hospital wants her back. Dr. Webb has called my office 6 times. Sarah smiled despite herself. He's persistent. But we want you here, Torres said. Active duty. A new program we're developing. Combat medics with tactical training. You'd be perfect to lead it. Sarah looked at her hands. Nurse's hands. But also a soldier's hands. I appreciate the offer, ma'am. But you're tired of choosing between healing and fighting, Torres finished. I understand. More than you know. She sat down. Gestured for Hayes and Whitmore to leave. They did just Sarah and the Admiral. 2 warriors. 2 women who'd given everything. When I was younger, Torres said quietly, I thought I had to be one thing. Officer, wife, mother. I tried to separate them. Keep them in boxes. How did that work out? Terribly. The boxes kept breaking. Torres smiled. Eventually I realized I'm all of those things. All the time. They make me better at each one. Sarah understood. You think I should stay in? I think you should stop running from who you are. You're a soldier. And you're a healer. That's not a contradiction, Major. That's a gift. The door opened. Dr. Webb walked in. Sarah blinked. What are you, the Admiral called me? Asked if I'd be willing to consult on her new program. Webb grinned. Turns out, the military needs advisors who understand civilian medical standards. Torres stood. Major Chen, I'm offering you a position. Joint Special Operations Medical Command. You'd lead a team. Train operators in advanced battlefield medicine. And when needed, deploy for critical missions. So I'd be both. Soldier and medic. You'd be what you've always been. Someone who protects people. Whether that's on a battlefield or in an ICU. Sarah looked at her hands again. At the 4 line, the bandages thought about County General. The quiet nights. The grateful patients thought about Morrison. The stolen intel. The threat stopped. Both mattered. Both saved lives. I have one condition, she said finally. Torres raised an eyebrow. Name it. I want to maintain a civilian medical license. Part-time shifts at County General. When I'm stateside and not deployed, Webb's face lit up. Torres considered. That's unconventional. So am I, apparently. The Admiral laughed. Actually laughed. Approved. You'll report to Fort Bragg in 2 weeks. Start building your team. And when you're not saving the world, you can save the night shift. She extended her hand. Sarah shook it. Welcome back, Major. 6 months later, County General, I see you. 2 a.m., Sarah checked Mrs. Rodriguez's vitals. The woman had been readmitted. Pneumonia this time, but stable. You came back, Mrs. Rodriguez whispered. Told you I would. I saw you on the news. The medal ceremony. The program you started. Sarah smiled. I've been busy, but you're still here. Still doing this? This is where I'm needed. Dr. Webb appeared. Handed her a chart. Major, patient in room 12 needs. He stopped. Grinned. Sorry, Nurse Chen. Force of habit, either one works, doctor. They walked together down the hallway. Past the rooms. The monitors. The quiet beeping that meant people were alive. Healing. How's the military program going? Good. We've trained 40 medics. 3 successful deployments. 0 casualties. And you. Sarah touched her ribs. Fully healed now. I'm learning to balance it. Both parts of me. The warrior and the healer. Something like that. The elevator dinged. A family stepped out. Young parents. A child with a cast. They looked scared. Lost. Sarah walked over. Knelt down to the child's level. Hey there. I'm Nurse Sarah. Let's get you fixed up, okay? The child nodded. Stopped crying. Sarah led them to a room. Started her assessment. Calm, professional. Gentle. Dr. Webb watched from the doorway. Watched. Sarah Chen, Medal of Honor recipient, Special Operations Commander. Elite warrior comfort, a frightened child with the same focus. She'd use on a battlefield, and he understood. She wasn't 2 people. She'd never been. She was exactly what the world needed. A protector. A healer. A silent badge that served in darkness and light. When the family left, Sarah returned to the nurse's station, pulled out her phone. Message from General Hayes. Mission brief. Friday. Wheels up Saturday. She typed back. Acknowledged. We'll finish night shift first. Hayes's response. Wouldn't expect anything less, Major. Sarah tucked the phone away. Looked at the ICU, at the patient sleeping safely. At the nurses working quietly through the night. This was her life now. Both parts. Fully integrated, and she wouldn't change a thing. Dr. Webb handed her a cup of coffee. Long night ahead. They always are, Doctor. Think you'll ever fully retire? Just pick one life. Sarah looked at her reflection in the dark window. Scrubs. Name tag. But behind her eyes, the knowledge of who she really was, who she'd always been. No, she said quietly. Because they need both. The people in this hospital, the people out there. And you're the only one who can give it to them. I'm one of many, but I'm the one who's here. Right now, she took a sip of coffee. Started her rounds behind her. Dr. Webb raised his cup in a small salute to Sarah Chen, the nurse who saved everyone, the major, who never stopped fighting, the silent badge that protected them all.